Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience.
David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. We can quantify it, we can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. The easier way to say it, though, if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us. And what we're going to be doing this evening, post-holiday, post-Christmas blues, at least on my end over here. But I'm your host, as always, Kyle Loomis, back with me from the land of the dead, Mr. Austin Scott, for episode 156. Welcome back, sir.
Well, thank you. We're not out of the clear yet, but we're getting there. It's been the holiday season full of sniffles and coughs over here, but what's new? So we're doing well. Happy New Year, coming to you live from 2026.
I know.
Hope everyone's doing well. War Eagle
To you as well. It's hey, listen, how about that start to the new year? You know, I know it's not directly Auburn related, but aside from Auburn playing either in the playoffs or the championship game, to watch both your most hated rivals just one get embarrassed and the other lose in very interesting fashion. That's about as good as a New Year's Day could start, don't you think?
I certainly had worse. Usually it goes much longer through January, and sometimes watching them play at the very end and where it's a lose. So it couldn't have worked out much better.
This is that beautiful time, which has happened more often than I thought it has, where Auburn fans can just sit back and enjoy the playoffs now. They don't have to worry about, we got to root for this team and stuff. And let's be honest, you and I discussed this before. This notion that you somehow have to pull for the SEC is just bogus. Like I might pull for Vanderbilt back in the day when they weren't half decent, but that's about it. Auburn and Alabama, Auburn and Georgia, that thing's so heated. We don't do this. We don't pull for each other. If you do, you're a much better person than me, much better person than Austin, apparently. But that's just how it is. And it was a beautiful day to just sit there in my mother's home, who's an Alabama fan, love you, Mom, and watch her team just get manhandled. And then we forgot about the Georgia game, to be honest with you. So that was a glorious thing to see.
Yeah, no, it was a good day of football. And, outside of the rivals losing, there have been some good games. And look, I mean, I'll take it a step further. I'm not really on board the Cinderella story of Ole Miss either. So if they want to lose too, that's fine with me. That there is this notion around the country that, like you said, this perceived mindset that we pull for the SEC, and I just don't. I'd rather see them all lose. If it's not me, it's not going to be anyone else. So I don't really care who wins the rest of the way. I'm just looking forward to seeing the last few games.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Obviously, it'd be more fun if Auburn's in it, but we got to get out of our own way for that to happen. It didn't have to be this way. All right, that's the first one of the new year. Maybe I can say that a lot less. Speaking of new year, since we didn't get to be together last week, for those of you that missed, we did a little Q&A because Austin was just down under the weather, and so we certainly wanted him to get back to at least some semblance of health as much as you can with two twin boys who always are bringing stuff into your house.
Always.
But let's do that. Unless you have something pressing before we get into potpourri that I would like us to look back on, because I asked people this in social media posts this week when we turn to the new year, looking back at 2025. Let me go ahead and say it for all of you cynics out there. We get it. Football sucked. Don't need to say it. Our question is about what was the best thing? What was your favorite memories of 2025 Auburn stuff? Sports, culture, family. So, I mean, I can think of some pretty easy ones, Austin. So you can take those if you'd like. But do you have a take on that?
Well, I don't think you can look back on 2025 for Auburn athletics and not think of the number 1 overall seed, Auburn Tigers, going into March, the best team in Auburn basketball history. Plenty of household names, Bruce Pearl retiring. You've got all that with Auburn basketball. So I think that stands out. I'm trying to think of other things that were kind of outside the Auburn sports realm. If it's not obvious, Kyle just pulled this one on me, and I didn't really prepare for this. Yeah, you love this part. I know you do. Tell me something that you're thinking of.
I mean, look, the first thing that comes to mind is going back to the Final Four. I mean, it's happened twice in Auburn history. Like, that's the big thing. That
Correct.
is the easiest thing to select. It's probably the highlight of the Auburn sports year. In most regards. Now, there were great moments and things like, I think, as much as we'll get into it, the whole departure of people like Cam Coleman's amazing catches we saw all season long. I think those are going to be highlights, that people remember throughout the entire year. Can I give you another one? And you and I've talked about it recently. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, a little white Christmas. It wasn't Christmas time.
The
snowstorm
about a year ago now. Yeah.
That was a beautiful time. And I mean, you're, as a resident, got to experience that. I got to chronicle it, but like, that's got to be up in your list somewhere of like best Auburn moments.
Yes, it was for like 24 hours. The entire week long extravaganza that it was. Thank you so much. The week long extravaganza that it was got to be a little long, especially like as we have mentioned, the aforementioned toddlers in the house. Daycare people are beautiful people, but when you can't get to them, it just gets really hard. So the snow was really fun. I forgot about that because, like you said, it's been almost a year.
Yeah.
That was around my birthday, so we're coming up on a year. Something I have not seen, but that was my second time seeing it. The snow in Auburn, and you got to see it. Very cool.
I couldn't have picked a better way to start off the year. I mean, so you think about that with the Auburn year, the snow, the Final Four. Auburn got to host a super regional for the very first time. Didn't work out.
You have a better memory than I do because you're remembering the good things.
It's almost like I just make a list.
Yeah, you did prep for this.
I was cleaning out some things, and I had kind of done some legwork at the beginning of the year that I didn't keep going. But look, you think about that. Abby Stockard became Miss America, an Auburn girl. So I mean, like you throw those type of things into the element of that. Every sports angle that you want to as well. Bruce Pearl retiring, it was a very busy Auburn year, despite some of the frustrations with some of the things like that. So all in all, I think it was a pretty good 2025, but we are very much looking forward to a 2026, I think, and especially in the Auburn sports world, where some of our more prominent programs will hopefully have some better on the field results. And certainly we got a lot to talk about in that segment coming up here now, but it's the start of a beautiful new year and I'm excited for it, sir. But before we look at the new year and talk about new things going forward, we got to go back to Christmas time. This is the last time that you'll be seeing it, Austin. The Christmas things here in the background.
Already? This is the last time?
Well, now I'm not going to talk about my house. Like the stuff downstairs, the lights may still be on and may still be on for several days, just because I'm Clark Griswold. But here in studio, I think this is the last time that you will see the lights, because maybe a little preview here. We're going to talk about Auburn Christmas gifts that we got this year. I've got some stuff that will not appear on screen. That's part of it. But yeah, I mean, show and tell at lunch is what we're going to do here. It doesn't sound like you have much of a show and tell to go though this year.
Not as much of an Auburn Christmas as past Christmases, which is totally fine. I'm very thankful and grateful for those who thought of me. But we got some things, and I even brought something the boys got, because the boys had quite a Christmas.
So should I go first and just give you a couple things back to back?
Yes,
would that work for you?
Just knock them out. Show me a couple.
I've already previewed this once before. I'm wearing it right now. I got to pull the mic back for a second. I got my first Auburn swimming and diving shirt.
That's a good one
right there. It's a really good one. I think this one came from the bookstore. either that or J&M, and they have several like those where you can get for different programs. I think you can even get for academic programs like Auburn Nursing, Auburn Pharmacy, all things like that. So
the fill in the blank here.
Fill in the blank, but we got to represent, man, here. That's what we do on the Auburn Experience. So that is.
Well, I remember you telling me a few months ago that like you didn't have one of swimming and diving of all sports. So that's a good one to check off.
It is, and I'm slowly checking off list here, which leads me to number 2 of relation here. Now, to be fair, I've already received, I've worn it several times, my championship Auburn men's golf shirt. But let's be honest, it can't just be about the men. We got women's program too. I now have my generic Auburn golf shirt that I can wear no matter where we go.
Fresh out the box with the sticker still on it. How about it?
Was I supposed to take the stickers off? Is that how this works? Could you tell that there was very little prep work for this? There may or not be tags. I hope there's not like to Kyle on this thing on here. But that's how I'm starting my Auburn Christmas haul. A new swimming and diving shirt.
I love it.
Generic golf shirt. So I'm ready to roll. What you got?
I love it. First off, right here, this is my biggest Auburn thing I got. And it you talk about milestones. For personal milestones, I started a job at the Auburn University this past year. And so I got a nice polo from my mother-in-law. With AUEDU, like Auburn College of Education shirt for me to wear. I'm going to wear it tomorrow on my first day back to work.
So professional. Could you try to pronounce that actually, like as it's written?
Oh, this OEDU? OEDU right here?
Is that how you say it? OEDU?
OEDU, yeah. That's what you got to say to get in the building, actually. I just gave the secret. AUEDU.
Well, I hope that you would look professional, so I'm glad to see that you got a little something.
I try.
Rep that, if you want to throw some merch our way too, hey, whatever. Let's do something a little bit. We'll do 2 small items because the last one that I have is pretty large and is already hard enough to show in a small screen for T-shirts and stuff. If y'all have ever heard me making this noise, can y'all hear that?
Oh yeah.
Hey, the mouse is actually working.
I hear that in my nightmares. Of course it works now.
Of course it does. Got me a new Auburn mouse pad
beautiful.
Here. Look, just simple orange and blue. I asked for it in a stocking. Got it from I think my mother gave it to me, but that'll be traveling around with me as my work mouse pad. And then what is Auburn Christmas without an Auburn Christmas ornament? Jessica, this technically isn't a gift. I'm cheating a little bit here. This is like, do you ever go post Christmas to see what?
Oh yeah,
pretty good stuff right there. Auburn Tigers, just a little power stripe going through there. I could try to fumble and take the box off, but that would be not, let's be honest, great TV or whatever. So there you go. So 2 T-shirts, a Christmas ornament that's for all of us, a mouse pad, one more thing for me, but anything else for you?
Well, now that you bring up that ornament, and this won't surprise you at all, but our tree and the ornaments have been put up already. But I did get an ornament from my wife with a classic AU in honor. She always gets me an ornament that is symbolic of something that happened that year. And so I got a classic gold AU ornament to memorialize me starting my job. My other one, and this is a bit of a stretch. It's a bit of a stretch, but it kind of works, is I've become more, my brother lives in Denver. We've talked about that, I think, before. He works for a university in the Colorado area. And so because he lives in Denver, I've become a little bit more prone to watch the Denver Broncos, who have great colors, who have a quarterback that I'm a fan of.
I like
this. So he got me this fancy Broncos hat right there.
I was not even paying attention to that up there. I'll be honest with you.
It's orange and blue, so it works out. And we have quite the representation of the Auburn family on the Broncos team in QB1 and QB2.
There's got to be someone else that we're not aware of on there too at this rate, because they love getting some Auburn Tigers. It sounds
they do. I'm not sure. I don't think there's another one that I can remember, unless there's a practice squad member or two or something. Seth Williams was up there for a while, but yes, Ashton got me this hat that I really, really like, and it's a little bit of my Auburn flair to remember my quarterback that I really like. That is a soft spot for some of you, and that's okay.
Listen, there's 2 quarterbacks there that we all remember very fondly. Some we got to see probably reach that potential. Others we wish we had. But hey, little out in left field.
It's a stretch.
It's orange and blue. It's what we do. That's
right.
Denver Broncos are like, when did we become part of your show? All right. So this last thing that I have was a surprise from my wife.
Oh,
and I will be honest with you, like I was not anticipating this at all, and I didn't think I needed something like this. This is a giant Auburn fleece. Right now, I mean, like
it's like a knit,
it's knit. Yes, this thing is going to be really when I am freezing my butt off here in studio during basketball games, because it does get cold up here, believe it or not, and I try to keep it cooler in studio.
Look at that. That looks very nice.
It's so you might even, I don't know how well it's going to situate on the back of the chair here. You might see it going forward, at least some part of it. But that was her idea, was you need something on the back of your chair. And I was like, I agree.
I love that. That's very thoughtful.
Yeah. It's got this like pocket too. So I don't know what the pocket's about.
That's very thoughtful, Jessica. Great job.
This is where I put
multiple Auburn logos too. I see from what I see the Tiger Eyes classic. Yep. I see an Auburn word mark, the AU. And is there an eagle to find? The one I have on my shirt, is that on the bend there?
The Eagle A. I do not see.
Like to the left of the AU? No.
To the left of the AU.
Sorry, other left.
No, sorry. I'm looking on here. I think that's what you're seeing.
Okay.
Pretty much
I thought I saw something. Well, that looks great. I love those three right there.
So that's my Auburn Christmas. That's Auburn's Austin Christmas. It wasn't like
I got one more. That's from the boys. It's from the boys.
I'm
for
sorry.
the boys.
Let's finale this.
Because honestly, that's what anybody cares about, right?
Right.
So as Kyle has witnessed personally, my boys have become very big Auburn University marching band fans this year.
I love where this is heading.
They've become very big Auburn University marching band fans. We listen to the songs all the time. Emily Spotify Wrapped was the Auburn University marching band all the way through.
Same.
All the way through. Same. And so they play their trumpets, which are not really trumpets. They're megaphones, but they play their trumpets. They march around. I have videos. You've seen them. Well, Emily and I thought, and mainly Emily, because she's the genius, obviously, that they need something to cap it all off. And so this year the boys have their very own.
That is awesome.
They have their very own Auburn University marching band hats and flumes.
Flumes, yes.
Flumes, thank you.
Is it flumes or is it plumes?
I was gonna go plume, but I went flume at the last minute. I think it's plume. You're right. It's plume.
I should have just let you run with it and not called you out.
I was wrong. I'd rather be
no. It's called a shako. That's what it's called.
I've not heard that.
I know that from being like somebody in the marching band right now is going to watch this clip or watch this live and be like, no, Kyle, you're wrong on that too. But I'm 90% sure that's called a shako.
Okay. Well, they have their very own, and it's not perfectly one-to-one. I hope there's no mentions of the Auburn University marching band uniforms on the Auburn University database, because this is not accurate. But they think it's the greatest thing ever, and they love it. And now they have gloves too this year, brought from my mom and stepfather. So I mean, they're ready to be drum majors.
Man, that's pretty awesome right there.
Pretty cool.
I thought I had the thing to end the show or even this segment. Honestly, that's it right there. So I'm glad that you held on to that. So Auburn Christmas, pretty good haul from both of us. And
pretty good haul.
We do enjoy show and tell at lunch, for all of you know the reference out there. Real quick, Austin, one thing that we didn't mention in our favorite things of the year in 2025 is a pretty big thing that happened in the summer, right before the season started. Lots of content about that. Some of our best content of the year. Lots of things purchased.
Yeah.
Two things actually. We switched to Nike.
Correct.
And then the merch sale or the surplus sale that was historic in a way.
That's right.
I can't believe we didn't add that in our discussion about that too, because I honestly didn't expect that to do as well with our content this year as much as it did. I really debated whether I even should come to the thing, and so glad I did, because I now I've got a jersey with my number on it, all that kind of stuff. But that's a little bit of something there too that I just kind of popped in my mind as we're wrapping up here. One final thing of note. This semester is about to start back for Auburn students. So if you are heading back to the Plains, Austin thanks you for coming back. And
come on home.
and busying up his roadways. I know you love it.
We do. We love it. It has been nice. Emily and I took the boys to an establishment downtown and got in and out within an hour. It was amazing. But there's a time and season, and it's time for them to come back. And certainly it makes it where I have a job, so I appreciate that. But it's time for them to come back. I think classes start on Wednesday, I think. So looking forward to having students back in town, and second semester will be firing on all cylinders here soon.
You know, it's always interesting because everybody's so excited for fall semester. It's the new year, football's going, and it used to not be that way because basketball was what it was back in the day. But, you know, now you've got that kind of marquee sport kind of anchor things coming back for the students and things like that. So I think it's a much more exciting time for students to come back to, at least sports wise, these days. So if you're an Auburn student, it doesn't matter if you coming back in the winter or if you're starting your Auburn career in the winter semester, which is always weirded it out to me. Like people do that thing. It doesn't feel right. I don't know, but whatever gets you there is what I say.
That's right.
And congratulations to everybody who is starting their next semester at the lovely East Village on the Plains, Auburn University. All right, let's jump right into our main topics this evening. We've already got a lot of people that are just patiently waiting in the chat, wanting us to talk about it. It's the only thing that you can discuss right now if you're an Auburn person, and that is the transfer portal. Whether you want to just say the same old complaints about the transfer portal, whether you want to, you know, just be a grumpy old man about, this is back in my day. This is not how we've heard it.
You've come to the right place.
We could do it here too, but like, let's move forward. Let's talk about something new rather than how much we dislike it. It's the reality of what we're in. It's the new world. So when we talk about portal news here, certainly when we set the table, we are talking about this on Sunday evening, January the 4th, 2026, and things are going to rapidly change as if we're talking about them. Right. We want to try to talk about a little bit of what Auburn has lost, at least what they may lose in who is currently in the portal, but certainly talk about some of the additions that are official already and some of the ones that might be. We'll see what we can all jam pack into this thing. Let's start with the losses. Certainly got to acknowledge all of that. Austin, I think the biggest storyline that one of the biggest are going to talk about is the sheer size of losses for Auburn. As I stand right now, looking on one of our sites out there, 24/7, you've got 32 listed in the transfer portal right now. And certainly a large portion of them are offensive. Certainly there are others as well. I think the shocking thing for me, Austin, is how many of the defensive guys went into the portal. And some of note, given that DJ Durkin is back, and that was the idea, or at least that's the way it was kind of carried around the narrative, that would help with retention. And I think it did in some way, just not in some of the ways people were anticipating here. I could go through the full list, but I think some of that is going to fall on deaf ears. Here, the biggest names that you're going to find in there: Jackson Arnold, Deuce Knight, Ashton Daniels, probably Dylan Cinda is another one, Cam Coleman. You're going to have Robert Woodyard, Kaden Lee, Morris Williams, Malik Blockton, Jay Crawford, a lot of our depth, Malcolm Simmons and Perry Thompson. And then, there's others. Caleb Wheatland's another one too that I thought we would be hearing more about this year. That kind of, I forgot, that he was, there, to be honest with you. And I thought we'd see a little bit more of him.
Did you say the main one?
The main one? Did I not?
Did you say number 8?
Number 8, Cam Coleman. Yeah.
Okay.
I just slid him in there.
I thought I
slid him in there real quick. If I didn't, Cam Coleman. By the way, did you know Cam Coleman left and that world just ceased to exist for Auburn people?
Just stopped. Yeah. No kidding.
So
I think you make a good point. I think a lot of people thought with DJ Durkin probably a little bit overly exaggerated that everything would be fine and all the roster retention problems would be solved. And that's just, I don't think you're going to see that anywhere in this day and age of college football. I don't think any one person can have that much of a stronghold. You across the state, and they're having they just had a very successful year, I think you could say, and they have plenty of people exiting as well, starters. And so I think in the day and age where you have so many outside influences, whether it be family members or agents or kids valuing themselves at a certain rate, you're going to see this kind of attrition, certainly after a coaching change. So, yeah, I'm not too surprised by the volume. Like I said, especially after a coaching change, but I think there are some certain that you feel like are big hurts. I think the biggest question to me in these kind of different situations, and we're not privy to those conversations directly. We're not privy to whether it was 50-50 split, whether it was someone was more eager to leave, or they were more maybe asked to, maybe it's in your best interest to find somewhere else to play. We don't know. We just don't know. Anyone telling you that they do is probably not correct. So I think the biggest thing that just stands out to me is that there's a good bit of quality snaps lost, but it provides an opportunity to bring in some talent, and now you have some extra revenue freed up to kind of make those replacements in those holes. To me, the defensive starters is more what I was surprised about with DJ Durkin being retained. People like Jay Crawford, Kyan Lee, Amaris Williams, those kind. But again, I think it has to do with where we're at in this day and age, and the difference in opinions maybe on what someone's value is, whether that's yourself or that's a coaching staff or whatever. And a beauty, if you can call it that, of the transfer portal is that you can go put that value to the test and go on the open market and see if someone else agrees with what you think your value is. Based on the volume of national people in the transfer portal, I don't think you're going to see many of those match up. But it is what it is, and people will have to bet on themselves in some certain situations, and I think that's totally fine. Something I dropped in our Conquer Club Discord over the break when there was a bit of a sky is falling moment, not in our club, but just in the Auburn family, is that there are people, yes, that are leaving teams or leaving Auburn. There's also going to be people that are good that leave other teams and maybe a fit at Auburn. It's kind of the giveth and taketh away of the portal. So it's not the end of the world. And I understand, like, look, I love Cam Coleman. I think Cam Coleman was an absolute talent here. And it's a shame that he kind of had to go through not the best offense to be in. And we still all see the potential of what he could be. I also recognize his point of view of I've got really one more year before I can actually be that top 10 pick that everyone says I'm going to be, but I kind of got to prove it. He has not had the opportunity to do that at Auburn. And I think that he believes he can find other places to do that. He's probably right. And certainly there's people who are willing to make it worth his while. So it's not the end of the world. That's going to be the same scenario for someone else. For a lot of these, we'll get to them, South Florida guys who are seemingly coming to Auburn, that they're wanting to bet on themselves and see what they can do at this level. They are taking their own matters into their own hands to go do it at Auburn. So it's the same type situation. It's just maybe not someone you've heard of before.
Let me break it down, this departure situation here. I want to ask you maybe a couple of questions and get kind of the overarching thoughts on all of this. What's the biggest loss on offense and defense for Auburn? I certainly can give you my thoughts on that, but I think I'm going to take some of the obvious ones away from you. And I think everyone's thinking of the main name right now for offense, which is
Cam Coleman.
Cam Coleman. Outside of Cam Coleman, it's kind of like when people ask you what's the greatest play that you've ever witnessed. I'm like, what's your favorite Auburn game, the kick six? Like, if you want me to take that away, we can have a better conversation. But so let's take Cam Coleman away. I mean, it's obvious he's the number one in the portal at most people's sites. Correct. He's probably not coming back, all that kind of stuff. So outside of him, on offense and defense, what is Auburn's biggest loss?
And just based on portal, right? Like
just based on that.
Because I would say Connor Liu, but he's going to the NFL draft.
That's a great point, but yes, portal is what we're talking about.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because that's a big one. For offense, it does get a little bit more difficult. I think you could go the wide receiver route. I'm looking at a list here, so sorry if my eyes are bouncing. No, I think you could too. You could go the wide receiver route and say Malcolm Simmons, because I think he had a very productive year, especially in some big games for Auburn. But my devil's advocate there would be, I think the offense that we're about to see is going to allow a lot of receivers to produce the numbers that we saw more easily. I'm not saying that Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons aren't incredible talents. They are. They're going to be. Let's face it, folks. They're probably going to be playing against Auburn next year. But I think receiver is a hard one to gauge by the biggest loss. For the biggest loss, man, Kyle, that is
on defense is tough because there's a lot there that if I'm asking you to pick one and one only as the biggest loss, there's some really important groups where you lost.
Let's say for offense, I'm just going to say people are not going to like this. I'm just going to say they're not going to like this. But I think because he was a starter and he played valuable minutes, some weren't better than others on the offensive line, is Xavier Chaplin has starting ability.
That's a take for some people.
I understand. I understand. But when you look at the offensive list, I'm not saying these guys did what they could for Auburn, but there's some on there that I'm not going to say are huge. Oh, man's. I think Xavier Chaplin's what I would say after Cam Coleman is the biggest gap that Auburn offense will miss because it's starting SEC, starting Power 4, offensive lineman, left tackle, regardless of if you could hear or not, that played in this league and that can be a big body who has experience playing football. Do you have one for offense before I talk about defense?
I like your Malcolm Simmons discussion earlier because he was such a Swiss Army knife of a wide receiver. I often compared him to Anthony Schwartz, but that's not even fair because Schwartz was even a little bit smaller from what I remember. Malcolm was a deep ball threat. He was threat in the run game too. To me, offense, that makes the most sense of outside of Cam Coleman. We've already acknowledged that. That's like saying the kick six when people ask you what's your favorite Auburn game, but that's what I go there. Can I offer my defense? And
please.
See if maybe it's the same. I don't know. I was going to say Robert Woodyard, but I like who we've retained, Xavier, and a lot of others as well. I really like that linebacker group that right now is all staying together there outside of him and a couple of others. I think you really go look at your defensive backs, and that makes some obvious choices there. But to be honest with you, I'm going to go Malik Blockton.
You got me.
Did I snipe you?
I was sitting here thinking, oh, good, he's going to go defensive back, so I can.
But there's some good choices in defense. I mean, interior defensive line was a question coming this year and last year too, and then he's provided a lot of solid stuff there. So similar to what you're talking about. Regardless of how you feel about the hearing and all that, Xavier Chaplin having solidified experience there and really good experience in Malik, I think is huge. So sorry I took yours.
No, I think I'm right there with you. I think Malik Blockton, especially a guy who in his high school recruitment was just very Mr. Auburn, very through and through, looked like he was Auburn no matter what. And a local guy that hurts. To see him dip, and I think the defensive line is still with Keldrick Falk leaving and Kieron Crawford leaving. You just see a lot of potential for guys to step up. I think you could throw Amaris Williams into that similar situation with Malik Blockton of guys who could have really produced or been in the spotlight moving forward next year. But to move off of yours and to not say defensive line, I think you could say Kyan Lee or Jay Crawford, that your stud defensive backs. Now I think there's good. Auburn's done good retention wise to maybe fill those spots. They're not going to be as proven. They're younger guys. They certainly could be as good, if not better. But Kyan Lee and Jay Crawford certainly are guys who Auburn felt really good about anchoring on the either side of the field on the defensive side of the ball in the back end. So I think those are going to be big losses as well.
Yeah, I mean, you could make a case for a lot of these guys. The reality is this is the new world we're living in. We can't sit here and just moan and groan about all we want. But, like, this is the world we live in. And plus, on top, as we discussed previously, a coaching change. This is what some of you asked for. And this is what you're going to get out of this. So take your lumps and realize. And I hope that gives people some pause of what expectations should be. And be pleasantly surprised if they maybe exceed expectations next year with the transfer portals. But certainly Cam Coleman Deuce night. Those are going to be the big names of discussion. Whether or not they stay in there or not is up in the air at this point on the Sunday night that we're talking about that. But that's just a big overview of what Auburn has lost. Let's talk about the games. 3 guys as of this Sunday evening that have currently entered back in, or not entered back in, have arrived.
I have 4, just so you know.
4? Am I missing one?
We'll find out.
Okay, maybe something happened that I missed. The point is, we need to talk about Auburn, aka USF. That is what we're talking about. Is your 4th one from USF too that I'm missing?
No.
That is correct. You are correct that I'm missing one on that. I just realized which one.
Big one. Big one.
On there. But let's talk about this first before we talk about the individuals. The big narrative. Auburn is just taking USF's team, and people are trying to talk about it in a way that, well, I mean, yeah, they were okay at that level, but if you just bring all that talent over here, can they compete in the SEC and things like that? Your opinion on that? What
I understand why you would say that, and I understand where you're coming from. Hey, this is a South Florida team that didn't even win their own conference, and you think they're going to come up here and compete in the SEC? We don't know. Nobody knows. Frankly, if you want to get real honest with it, 3 top 10 classes couldn't get Auburn to compete in the SEC, and a portal classes with guys from big name schools too. I think the more I think about it, and some are going to say, "Oh, this is some way to sunshine pump and some way to cover yourself."
You keep pumping.
You keep pumping. That's right. We didn't see a lot of this in the previous 2 hires. With Brian Harsin, you did not see a bunch of guys from Boise State come in on the player side. With Hugh Freeze, you did not see a ton of guys come in from Liberty. I think that you've seen in the Golish situation, it's like a more of a this is happening of guys from South Florida are going to come up and play for him. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think that certainly they've had success and they've had success in their own right in the numbers and stats they've put up and things like that. But the guys who, as much as Coach Alex Golish has talked about, is he wants a player-driven program and the culture he's created, these guys know what that's supposed to be like. And they're coming in now to help him install that even faster. You now have guys who are coming in who are expecting to play and expecting to be contributors, but now we'll have a say in installing that culture around the guys who are being retained, other portal guys who are going to be coming in. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Kyle and I both talked about this, is that the biggest example we have in college football where this has worked and been positive is Indiana didn't care at all that Kurt Cignetti decided to bring a ton of James Madison guys. Now you could say it's Indiana. What did they have to lose? Fair point. Like they were just, who knew, they could not have in their wildest dreams imagined that this would be what Indiana is in 2026. I think that what we'll see is that it could be a similar situation for Auburn, is that South Florida guys are coming in early to, try and put their stamp on and play big boy football and prove to Auburn and the rest of the SEC, hey, we can play too, but it's also to instill the culture that Alex Golish wants to bring to Auburn. And I think they can do that. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I also think it just makes a lot of sense. If Alex Golish wants to try and win early, and goodness knows he's under a lot of pressure to do so from the Auburn family and Auburn administration and whatever, then he needs to have guys he's comfortable with and confident that know what he wants to do. And who better than to be the guys he recruited and brought in when he was in Tampa.
Yeah, listen, I think you made all the great points. The obvious one that's been talked about a lot is the Kurt Cignetti, James Madison thing. And I think certainly that is a great example. Does it mean that it works exactly the same here? No, but certainly you can't argue with that one really good example there. And I like the culture piece of it, like in trying to bring your people in, know exactly what you're expecting. You can imagine how that helps you get off the ground running, especially in a humongous year of transition. How that can be beneficial. So if that's what coach, I've always said this, I get asked my opinion a lot, like, who do you want? And to be honest with you, I know I'm boring when I say this, but I want who the head coach wants. And that's the only
Right.
answer that matters, because if they want the person, if they throw them out there, it's a really weird notion. If someone keeps getting started, there's a reason for that, folks.
That's right.
They're trying to keep their jobs. That's what I want. If they want these people in here in year one, bring them in here. I don't care all the USF jokes we want. That's fine. We'll deal with it. So there's the Auburn USF angle, and certainly becoming a little bit of a surrogate of that is certainly there. The additions so far on this Sunday evening that are currently active: Lachlan Hewlett, a quarterback, coming in, also with Reese Brush, who was part of the class. So that's 2 quarterbacks that are going to be part of this quarterback room. A wide receiver, Christian Neptune, from both of these from USF, and this last one in these 3. Corey Pettigrew, a wide receiver as well, coming over. So replenishing a little bit of that lost wide receiver room. And listen, don't you ever downplay the long snapper position.
You almost did.
I almost did. I'm so sorry. But yes, we also picked up a long snapper from Miami, Ohio. And I'm blanking on his name at this point.
Hudson Powell.
Hudson Powell. So, listen, great start. Certainly there's going to be many, many more because, hey, we lost so many, many more. Any quick thoughts about these individuals that you'd like to point out?
Yeah, I think that it's very cool to see Alex Golish bring in his South Florida quarterback, not the one everyone probably thought would be the first commit, but his backup, Lachlan Hewitt, a freshman last year who played in just a few games, I think, and was able to keep his red shirt, but a guy who he believed in. I find it very similar to Hugh Freeze bringing in Hank Brown.
Just very good.
A guy that he trusted, had something when he was scouting him and recruiting him from the high school ranks. And then sees enough in him to bring him as a stepping stone. I know we all want to say, and we're all waiting to see if Byron Brown commits to come to Auburn and play his final year, but he will have 1 year. So it is important to see that that quarterback development continues. And Lachlan Hewitt is certainly one who was on track to do that at South Florida before. And then you mentioned the 2 South Florida receivers, Christian Neptune and Corey Pettigrew. I do not think they will be the last South Florida receivers we're talking about. I think there'll be plenty more to come from there. But certainly guys who are younger and have that similar kind of mindset about what like Lachlan Hewitt does, of guys you're wanting to build up in your system and can flourish, you believe can flourish in your offense. So we'll have to see it. Only 4 commits in the portal right now, but if you're filling spots 1-to-1, we just talked about how many Auburn's lost, so you got a long way to go.
Right. Listen, with the USF wide receivers, why take a singleton when you could have a Pettigrew?
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. I'm sitting here trying to get it. Sorry. That was bad. It's dad jokes over here, I guess.
Oh, goodness gracious.
But yeah, there's your 4 so far. Certainly people are waiting as of this evening with the Byron Brown thing. Listen, there's a lot of discussions about who may or may not come back out of the portal and stuff like that, especially in the quarterback room. Certainly time will tell with that. But you could see a world where this fills out very nicely with a quarterback room full of guys that Coach Golish wanted. His 1 more year. Byron Brown, if he ends up doing that, we don't know on this Sunday evening. Reese Brush in his class, he brought him over. And then obviously the backup, Lachlan as well. And then, if you can find a way to squeeze someone else in prominence there, that would make people happy. Hey, it's all good there. Anything else from the transfer portal that we need to talk about? Or have we covered every single angle of it as far as we can right now?
The answer to that is no. We'll never cover every single angle of the transfer portal. But as far as Auburn is concerned, I think we'll be talking about this for weeks ahead. It never ends. Even when it supposedly opens and supposedly closes, it never ends. But it is off and running now. I think I saw something like the first day had like 3,000 kids go in. You just really wish that you could ask them where they're getting all their information from and who has their best interests at heart. But
yeah.
Man, it's sad, but we've gotten this far without being grumpy old farts about transfer portal, so might as well finish it.
Just one little jab in there at the end. That's fine. Transfer portal. All right, yeah. Like this is not the last segment we'll be doing about this on this show. So keep following, subscribing if you want us to have well-rounded conversations here. Let's be honest. Like certainly there's great reporting everywhere on this, but we try to be a little bit more level on headed on here. So if you appreciate that, I think this is a great place for you to come here and have conversation about it. Not for me, but from Austin. He does a good job of
sure
keeping me in check for the most part. All right, last bit of business tonight. Last main topic. It's basketball season, folks, or it's been that way. Last we got together with you, we weren't able to do that last week. We were just about wrapped up with Auburn men's basketball non-conference. Basically, it was a game with Queens, and we did exactly what you thought would.
Gosh, it was a late night. I was there.
You're telling me I was here doing a post-game show
on Eastern time, the lesser of the times.
I don't know. I will say
do not tell me you prefer Eastern time.
The only thing
do not tell me
the getting dark that early in Auburn is
rough. Auburn,
but it is
almost
Auburn.
A cheat because we're so close to the line that we're not real. Like for sports watching. And like the actual time of things happen. So
you're correct.
The best.
You're correct. You're correct.
Now we are in a weird spot. We kind of are in Central Time, and we have to live with Eastern Time, like sunlight and issues, which I agree is not good.
Okay, you see my point. That's all I'm saying.
I do see the compromise. Yes.
All right, Queens versus Auburn, 106-65. Is there anything that we really need to talk about with that? I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory.
It was an absolute butt whooping. I went with a friend, and the only thing we were wondering is if the crowd would go crazy to see 6-7 hit twice.
Oh gosh!
And it was only hit once.
My goodness,
which is shocking in itself. The fact that Auburn, I think they allowed 63 to Queens,
65,
65. So they were close.
To one basket away.
The kids that were left at 1 a.m. were on edge.
Oh my goodness.
No, they did everything they could. I want to say that was the first time they played Queens. I think we brought that up on a previous show. That was
it's a
it might be the last.
Question.
I don't think they'll come back.
I wouldn't after that point. Although they came great with their lovely Christmas sweater attire. They had a lot of fun.
They did. That was very interesting. Did not know where. Did you know anything about the Queens College before they came?
My understanding is they're not even from New York.
They're not.
I know. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I thought it was Queens, New York.
We looked it up in the middle of the game because we were like, I wonder how many kids they got, and they were like, oh, this is from Charlotte.
Yeah, that was
shocking. Yeah.
The more you know when you find these little things out.
The more you know.
Right. All right. So we're in SEC conference play, and certainly we have one game to talk about. And boy, what a game it was. Now I'm sad to say I wasn't able to be with you all for the post-game show. I don't think we'll be missing very many more, if any. So I usually miss one a year, and it just didn't line up that way. So I apologize. But let's talk about it. Auburn versus Georgia. Georgia is having a great resurgence, being ranked, and obviously, having a very prolific offense, as you can tell from the score here. Auburn does fall 100-104 in overtime. So if you had any concerns about Auburn also being able to score on the road, certainly this is only one piece of that puzzle and feeling better about that. But there you go. It was a shootout to the end, and literally a shootout with Kevin Overton having just an amazing, and I mean amazing, rebound off of a purposely missed free throw to hit it at the buzzer to send Auburn to overtime in Athens, Georgia. I am a huge Kevin Overton fan, Austin. I've been talking about this on the post-game shows. People asked me at the beginning of the year or before that, like, who's the guy who's sticking out to you? And I've said this, like, Keyshawn Murphy was my main guy because of SEC experience. I'll reference football for that, Xavier Atkins. But kind of quietly into myself, or maybe privately, I was like, there's something about this Kevin Overton guy. And not only is he a great role player, but the dude can score when he wants to score and be a clutch, as you just saw, in Georgia. So, listen, I know we're talking about a loss here, and it's frustrating. We're that close. Oh, there's the trigger word again. I know, oh boy. But this is a quality Georgia team based on the current information about them. Auburn fought to the bitter end. Kevin Overton did outstanding. I mean, Where are you sitting at on this Auburn and Georgia loss? Is it just another disappointment on top, or is this like respectable in your mind?
Yeah, no, I'm with you about Georgia and having a resurgence. I'm one who I did not think it was never going to happen, especially once they hired Mike White. I thought Mike White has had Auburn's number for years, and has played them very tough. So there was no, whether it be Florida or Georgia, there was no surprise to me that he was going to get them going. If you remember, the game in Athens last year was all the way down to the very end as well. And so I think that to see Georgia be what they are and that kind of offense is not surprising. What's surprising to me most, Kyle, is just the defense of Auburn is just and their head coach's words is just horrendous. The one-on-one defense is terrible, and they cannot guard the man in front of them right now at an elite level. That's what it's going to take in this league. So it's really unfortunate and disappointing to see Auburn lose to a team they've dominated the last few years. I think they haven't lost to Georgia in 3 years. But at the same time, we're usually talking about how poor the offense is on the road. And it was not that, certainly, when you score triple digits on the road, albeit in overtime. But I think the defense is just a surprising thing to me, especially when you have such a defensive-minded head coach, that something's going to have to click to get this team back to where it needs to be defensively. Sure. Just a few stops. You're up 3 with 35 seconds left. I think they're up 3. No. Roughly. A minute left, something around there. You had the lead after having to battle it and battle back to get it all game, and just couldn't close it out. So that's something that's going to have to figure itself out, and they got to find a defensive identity and a defensive personality somewhere, or things will keep happening where they'll probably just get outscored, which is very frustrating.
Which begs the question, when they do get the defense figured out, and I'm saying when they do because I believe they will, how good can this Auburn basketball team be? Because we know that they can score. We know that, as I've phrased it previously, based off of the non-conference results, currently this team cannot consistently compete with the best, but they can on some occasions. Evidence of Houston. Then you look at the other 3 that were blowouts. You look at some of their quality wins, St. John's, Oregon, things like that, taking Georgia down to the wire here. If that defense gets going, we're talking about a team that can surprise people maybe not even surprise people, just like, okay, well, here comes Auburn roaring again. So I think that's what everybody's focusing on, and coach too, clearly. What's going on with this defense? Get that figured out. Certainly there's some things like that. I'm just, in the meantime, I'm enjoying watching players like Kevin Overton because I think certainly people were talking about Keyshawn Murphy, Keyshawn Hall, Todd, all that kind of stuff. And to see this guy just popping off in either big scoring bouts or just big moments, being a clutch basketball player for Auburn, I think is huge. So big games coming up for them this week with Texas A&M in Auburn, Alabama. So the first SEC game. And then they will also host Arkansas this Saturday. Calipari coming to town. So a good little stretch here for Auburn, taking on Texas A&M and Arkansas. I'd like to get to you, sir, a prediction here on the record.
Oh, my gosh.
In what, 2 of 2, 1 of 2, 0 of 2. Go on the record for me, sir.
Well, we talked about how bad the defense, but they better start figuring out something quick, because those are 2 elite offenses that have played big games already too. You got Buckyball coming into town, who will have plenty of people from home inside Neville Arena, and has shown that he's got a unique offense that can light up the scoreboard. And then you've got John Calipari bringing Arkansas in, who is always going to have talent and is always going to be able to coach you well. So I'll say 1 of 2. I don't really feel great about either one of them, to be honest. But I think that, your coach coming out post-game telling you your defense was horrendous and telling the rest of the world it was terrible too should be a swift kick in the butt to hopefully get some things right. So I'm hoping they have a good first week back in class. Maybe a good routine will help them get things going. And I'm going to say that they get 1 of the 2 this week.
I'm going to go 2 of 2 because
I would love it.
Because I think they're going to respond to this coaching. I think they're going to respond to these expectations that are being put on them. And I think they're going to have a roaring comeback with a jungle that is going to be ready to just pop off in SEC play, especially when you cap it off this Saturday with Arkansas. Now we'll talk about it next week, but we'll see how wrong I was maybe. But right now I'm feeling pretty good about Auburn coming back to the Neville and doing the Nev, because sometimes you never win there. Real quick, let's talk about some Auburn women's basketball updates too. Certainly they are beginning their SEC conference play. They've wrapped up also non-conference in the time that we were off. Had a pretty successful, for the most part, non-conference start and year for first year head coach Larry Vickers, and they are doing exactly what we kind of expected, running into a buzzsaw of the SEC. Just because someone is a fresh start doesn't mean it's still not an uphill climb to find success, and especially any SEC competition for any sport, but women's basketball. Mississippi State, they lose on the road 53-75. And the Tennessee game today, frankly, was a little bit worse than the score indicates at times. They do lose 56-73. So we kind of, it's interesting. They're pretty much the same score, just flip-flop, just a couple of things off there, like 73-50. Anyway, if you look at it on the screen, it kind of looks similar to me. That's why I'm saying that. Any cause for concern or anything that you aren't expecting or surprised by, or is this just kind of what you expected with the women's basketball right now?
Yeah, it's about where they're at. Like you said, first year when we previewed this schedule, I don't remember where we both said the first win would come, but I don't think it was either of these two. And so it's about where you think they expect. Like I've said before, I'm very high on Coach Vickers and this team. And I think they've got shooters. I think they're just running into SEC defenses, which is going to happen. And it gives another opportunity for both the team and Coach Vickers to learn and grow. So I'm hopeful that, that first win comes sooner rather than later. I think it will, but it's certainly going to take some time to grow and adapt to what other SEC basketball teams are like. But this team still needs your support and still deserves to have them come out. So I think it'll be really exciting as their next couple games. Do you have their schedule pulled up? Who do they have coming up?
Yeah, coming up next, we've got on the road in Austin at Texas. And then we'll come back. I know. So it's not going to get much easier. And then it's the SEC, so it doesn't get easier.
That's right.
Pretty much either way. And then you come back to Auburn to take on Florida this Sunday. So certainly we'll be able to update you guys on how they're doing there with those two SEC teams on the docket. It's a challenge, man. I know that will sound like that, kind of a broken record a little bit, but it's just the reality of what we're in here. And so kind of like we saw with Johnny Harris doing her first year, there was a little bit of fireworks here and there. I wouldn't be shocked if we see that as well. The question is, where do they happen? And I see that Alabama game sitting nicely at Neville Arena a couple games later. So we'll see if that's when it is.
We will see. It'll be a lot of fun.
It will be. Basketball season full swing, and I am loving it, my friends. That's going to do it for episode 156 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, we appreciate you joining us. Please make sure you're following, subscribing, liking, all the good things everywhere you can, no matter how you consume this content, video, replay, just audio. We appreciate you being here and being part of our family. If you want to keep up with us, E2C Network, direct messages everywhere on social media, E2CNetwork@gmail.com. Where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott, Twitter, Instagram, X, whatever. You can find me. It's been X for 2 years now.
I finally started giving into it as well. So
I just can't remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope everybody has a happy new year, start to the happy new year. And thanks for being with us for 156 episodes. Hopefully we got that many more.
Hopefully so. We will just keep on plugging along until Austin tells me I'm done and shut up, pal. I can't deal with you anymore. Episode 156 in the books, folks, and 2026 is underway. Thanks for being here with us. Till we talk to you again, the Auburn Creed asks you to do these things. Do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.